I can already tell it's going to be one of those mornings. Okay. Hi, John here, you there. Sorry I'm late. Uh, I was looking for a couple of things. And I was wondering why the computer wasn't working this morning. And so I guess this is going to evolve into opening kickoff before Doug Irwin from Greenville Triumph joins us in about 7 minutes. Big news yesterday for Greenville and for the Triumph and for soccer there in the upstate. So we're going to catch up with Doug in a sec. So I was, traditionally, we send out the note. Okay, here's who's going to be on, all that kind of stuff. So that got sent out fine. I start to fire up the studio, and the computer isn't the trigger's not working on the mouse to get the input correct to where I can function and actually start the show. And so it just got to the point to where I wasn't getting an input right, and it's like I could get all the other inputs working, but I couldn't get the input for the main computer to work. So I was just like, all right, I'm done. I've got to find AA batteries to start from scratch, to refire up the computer, to get the wireless mouse to work, and so we can get things rolling. That's why I'm 2 minutes late, because I was trying to find AA batteries for the wireless mouse so I could change the inputs and get everything rolling. I know that makes no sense. It's me we're talking about. So that's why we're late this morning. I promised to go to at least 11:07. So this morning, big news out of Greenville yesterday afternoon, and it's something that Greenville Triumph have been trying to get squared away for a couple of years. And so for the Triumph, it's a big day. For Liberty, it's a big day. For soccer in the upstate, it's a big day. And we'll find out all about it and the announcement that happened yesterday in Malden, South Carolina. So I think it's like on the perimeter freeway. So this is going to be an education for all of us about all of the wherewithal it took, all the elbow grease it took, where Malden is, the development in and of itself, the future as it looks for the 26th season. It's going to take, I think, until 26 to get everything all built and everything. So we're going to find out from Doug Irwin with Greenville Triumph coming up in just a little bit what in the wide world of sports is going on a cool day yesterday in Greenville. And then, of course, we got news of the morning. Ruben Amorim is apparently official, or at least as close to officially official as you can humanly get. And apparently they've worked out all the financials where perhaps the assistants can come too, and they can come join the party. And we'll get into that in the other news of the AM. Power Hour is at 10 o'clock. No real surprise that it's the Power Hour is coming at 10, because it is always our buddy Nino Torres from Gold TV and Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports on the Soccer Bar. So with Nino, it is going to be anything and everything going on with anything on his mind. We've got Libertadores, we've got Sudamericana, we've actually got Ruben Amorim to talk about, because we were discussing the idea last week when Nino was with us about Amorim and Manchester City. And Nino was like, nah, I don't think that's going to happen. Just so happened that it ended up going across town. And so it's going to be Amorim is red. You know how we sit there and we go, Manchester is blue, Manchester is red, that kind of a thing. So Amorim is red. He's not blue. So we'll get into that. Libertadores, Sudamericana, what's going on in Nino's mind, all that stuff at 10, 10:30, 10:35, last half hour of the show. Niko Moreno from the Soccer Bar, Pulso Sports. We're going to talk about everything playoffs. We'll talk about what happened with Seattle and Houston. We'll find out what else is on Niko's mind when it comes to anything and everything involving Major League Soccer and his point of view, as we have one more day off before we get into what's going on in match days 2 of the opening round best of 3. Because remember, after best of 3s, it's one and done. And you play until you can't play no more. So that's what we're staring at involving the rundown for today. Tomorrow, we're going to catch up. Well, technically later this afternoon. Later this afternoon, we're going to catch up with Kano Smith, the head coach at Rhode Island FC, and we'll find out what it's like for Kano and RIFC to make the playoffs. We'll find out what's going on with him there. We're taping that this afternoon. We'll play a little bit of that in the show tomorrow. We'll release the audio as well later this afternoon. So the audio with Kano Smith will be out on the network later this afternoon. and we'll play a little bit of that conversation tomorrow on the show. Bart's going to join us at 9:05. Win last night in Louisville in front of, I think, 13,500 at Lynn Family. So Bart's going to bat leadoff tomorrow. We'll talk about the 3-match window involving the U.S. Women's National Team. The U17s lost to South Korea yesterday in the tournament and in the U17 Women's World Cup. So they're going to be playing for third. It was a 1-0 loss and a great effort from the U17s on the women's side. They're going to be playing for third in the World Cup down in the Dominican Republic after what happened yesterday. Hopefully we can be joined by our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring at 9:30. Then 10 o'clock, it is the power hour to get you ready for everything Major League Soccer that we might have missed going on forward. And we can whip around patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later. And don't forget, there's also going to be Academy Soccer at atoutd.com/live this weekend before everything that happens involving Atlanta United. So it is once again 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock. The U18s and the U16s, they will be going at it. And we'll be having all that kind of fun stuff on atoutd.com/live. It'll be Jason, Maddie, and me in combination and in concert. We're going to be having the three of us talking the two games. Jason, I think, has Oglethorpe later the afternoon, so we're all over the place. All right. I thought about filibustering to 9:15, but I'm not going to do it. We're going to go ahead at 9:14, and we're going to dial up our friends in Greenville and catch up with Doug Irwin and the Greenville Triumph and find out how big a day it was involving the Triumph and Malden, South Carolina. We bring Doug in. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, John. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I mean, you have a day like you had yesterday. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and go, well, no, I don't want to talk to you, as you are styling and profiling your Liberty gear this morning as well. Big day for the franchise across the board. Big day for soccer there in the upstate. So congratulations across the board. Now that you've been, 18 hours, I guess, since the announcement, has it sunk in yet that you've actually cut tape and done all that stuff?
I don't know if it has. I think there's definitely a fair bit of exhaustion for all the right reasons this morning, and a hangover in the best way possible of did this actually happen? Did we actually announce it? Because it's been such a long process, on the stadium front to get to the point where we had a deal signed and could announce something. So no, I don't know if it has. It'll probably sink in at 2 o'clock when we have our daily stadium call that we have every day and have had every day for months and months. So I think when we say, all right, what's next at 2 o'clock, then it'll sink in.
All right. So for those that might have just been kind of drifting in and out of the news cycle with what the Triumph were trying to do there in Greenville proper to get to Malden, how long a process was this from, hey, that sounds like a great idea, to yesterday afternoon?
Yeah, I think most people would say the public part of that process has been 2.5 years, because we did have an initial vote on a stadium by Greenville County Council in February of 2022 that was voted down. But there had been probably a year and a half of work up to that point to get to that initial vote. And then after that vote, failed, which was not actually a vote to vote for the stadium, it was a vote to authorize the county administrator to enter into a negotiation to try and get a deal that they could vote on. So since then, it was stepping back. It was continuing to talk to the site in Malden, but it was also bringing some other sites into the discussions to see viability there, and ultimately being able to get something together again with the city of Malden, and probably about 6-8 months of real work across to get to yesterday to where we had signatures on paper and could announce something.
When you look at this, this is something that has been, let me dial it sideways a little bit. So for those not familiar with geography that are used to seeing you whether it's at Furman or other locations there in town. Where is Malden in relation to, say, downtown for folks that will be making this trek, say, starting in 26, or just
Sure.
want to drive by and look at construction and go, hey, there it is?
Yep. Malden, and specifically this development in Malden is 8 miles from downtown. So, 15-minute car ride from the heart of downtown Greenville. Right, this development is right on 385, which connects to 85, connects downtown Greenville to 385, and so just a short trip. In car from where we are at Furman, it's probably 25-30 minutes. But if you look at economic heat maps, if you look at our season ticket holder base, Malden is right in the heart of it. Furman's a little out of the way for the majority of our season ticket holders. So we're definitely getting right into the backyard of the people that are going to hopefully be coming out to matches. And that was one of the main reasons that we were keen on Malden from the start.
And so obviously you're reading my notes when I had all my questions prepped for you, and I was going to ask why Malden, and that seems to be when you mentioned I think that's one of the first times I've ever heard the phrase economic heat map. But I mean,
That was a phrase I learned for the first time when it was handed to us
really
a couple of years ago. So you can track and you can see where new residents are moving to in a metro area. Average household income, and the heat maps show that the east side of Greenville and southeast side of Greenville is where the majority of the development is happening. And you match that up with our season ticket holder map, and sure enough, it's almost 1-to-1. So to be able to find land in that, right in that area, that backyard, as I mentioned, was huge.
when you look at live, work, play, and that is something that USL League One specifically has been, building as a part of its own DNA, where Chattanooga has their live, work, play idea up there at CHI Memorial, with what Darren is building at Tormento, with all of the different aspects that are going to be engaged there over time. Live, work, play, and the whole multi-use, multi-purpose thing, that seems to be definitely one of the attracting points for folks that want to dive into USL League One. Is like,
Yep.
okay, we can build our own facilities, we can do these kinds of things, but we can also serve in multiple ways. That seems to be something that USL League One, multi-purpose. That seems to be stuff that comes together.
Yeah, and I think some of that is in response to just the way stadiums have been moving, where everything was kind of going downtown in most cities. And that movement really kind of started, I mean, all the way back in 92 with Camden Yards in Baltimore for the Orioles. And now in cities small and big, downtown's kind of tapped out a little bit. So you've got to go outside of core downtown in most places. And if you do, you've got to bring people to the area. And to your point, live, work, play, you've got to get people living there. You've got to get people walking around, dining, spending entertainment dollars, because you have that downtown, but you might not have that on an island. And obviously, in your backyard, John, the Braves example is kind of the shining star of that. Of if you're going to go outside of downtown, you've got to build that around it. So the challenge that we had here is, unlike Chattanooga or Statesboro, we're not developers. We don't have a developer background. Darren might tell you he's not a developer, but he's become one now. So for us, it was about finding a development partner, locally, that had a strong development, that had interest in bringing the stadium. So getting linked up with the Bridgeway Station development, which has already opened their phase 1 of restaurants, apartments, office space. That was a great setup for us to be able to kind of shoehorn into a planned development where we weren't responsible for the development outside of the stadium, but we knew that we were going to have, lots of interest and people already in the area.
When you were trying to figure out what the stadium was going to look like capacity wise, and just the overall look and the space it was going to take up, how did you end up settling on, I think 10, I think was the number that you were looking for capacity? How did
Yeah.
you come up to that number and figure that out? That was the magic number for you.
Yeah, a lot of that was looking at other stadiums around the country. A lot in the USL Championship, and also just in general, I'd love to say that it's 10,000 for Triumph and Liberty games, and we plan for that every time. That's obviously going to be our goal, but it's kind of a multi-pronged approach of planning in a world that, and someday if we ever are in the championship or the Liberty turn to Super League, that we're up to, D2 standards by U.S. Soccer, but also for non-soccer events, importantly, what's that sweet spot for capacity for concerts, for music festivals, anything else. And I think the difference in 7 to 8,000 seats and 10 is huge. I know that 10,000 lets you get some soccer programming too that you couldn't get outside of league in terms of friendlies, in terms of potential women's national team or youth national team events. So 10,000 sounds ambitious for the clubs, for regular season soccer games, and it is. And we plan to hopefully rise that ambition level, but it definitely allows us to do a lot in our other non-Triumph and Liberty events too.
So what has it been like for you as a franchise, you personally, you as a franchise, to see the Triumph grow to be a part of the fabric that it is, to see the Liberty grow to be a part of the fabric there that it is, to see this all of this energy that has been invested by the Triumph front office and the Irwin family to get to this point? Did you ever think that you would get to a point like this X number of years down the road to where you would be making this kind of an impact in the community?
I don't know that we imagined it. No, and then I guess we started imagining the stadium aspect of what it could mean, and then it ended up taking such a long time to get to a point where we could announce it. So, there's definitely a little relief, honestly, and what it means for the club's future and what we're able to do now and are going to be able to do on the field and off with this kind of expanded reach because no secret that a nomadic soccer team can't survive forever, as we've had to be. I think we've had two really good home venues, on a temporary basis, but to be able to, put a flag in the ground and say this is our home and it's going to be our home for decades to come. It's transformative, and I said to someone in our local media yesterday, I think this is the biggest day in our club history. And that's no offense to Ronaldinho, who just got announced as a part owner a little while
I was
back.
going to say now.
But for what it means for the future of the club and to have the firm footing, literally going into the ground in the coming months of our home stadium is going to really allow this platform to take off.
Vice Chair, Chief Brand Officer, Greenville Triumph, Doug Irwin, dropping by, friend of the network here, as they had a kind of a big day yesterday. And I want to go back to that other big day since you once again are reading my notes. How did this whole Ronaldinho thing drop into your lap?
Personal relationships, frankly. We across the last year have added to our ownership group with some local business folks that have an interest in soccer in Greenville, and wanting to get invested, see the growth, have been successful businessmen in their own right, but are philanthropically focused and want to tie into an organization that they think's doing great things. So we got connected to Wallace Cheeves, who's a Greenville native who's done business across country and abroad, in multiple industries, development industry, gaming industry, a couple others. And Wallace has a connection through, he lived in Brazil for a while and big soccer fan, and had a connection to Ronaldinho, and had approached Ronaldinho about, hey, do you want to get involved with this? I'm thinking of pulling an investment group together to invest in a minority share in the team. And Ronaldinho's brother Roberto, who's his business manager, were interested in it. We were able to have a couple meals with Roberto and Wallace and a few other folks, and next thing you know, we're told that they want to invest in the club. And so you talk about a pinch me moment, one of probably the 5 to 10 most consequential, no, certainly most talented, but also most consequential in terms of reach and growth of the game figures in Ronaldinho, to be able to do that. Not that the stadium push maybe needed it in the 11th hour, but what a great message to send out to people that we were talking to in the closing stages of getting signatures on paper for the stadium, of the boost and the intrigue and the attention that's come to the club through Ronaldinho's announcement.
How do you keep from turning that into the Chris Farley, Paul McCartney sketch on Saturday Night Live, where Mr. Ronaldinho, you're really good at soccer.
Yeah.
How do you keep from marking out, as they say in wrestling, when you see something like that?
That's a good question, and I don't know if I have the answer yet. I've not gotten to meet him yet. We're trying to get him up to Greenville probably sometime next year, for either a groundbreaking or game or something. I've gotten to meet his brother and Juanma Robles, who's part of the group, and I think for us, I think what I'm kind of taken aback by, and I'll draw a Ronaldinho John Harkes comparison, is the humbleness at which a lot of these soccer greats want to get back to the game. I don't think you see that in every sport, and that's what John always said when we hired him to be our head coach and sporting director. A lot of these guys have been immensely successful. Take that mindset of the game's given us so much. We want to do what we can to give back and help grow the game at the grassroots level. And I just think that's such a noble endeavor, that Ronaldinho has, that John had, that so many that I've encountered have. That's just really cool to see.
Another couple of minutes as we break down everything going on with Greenville Triumph. So it's 2026 is what you're looking at, right?
2026, yeah, we don't have an exact date. Obviously, we're hoping by the start of the season it's going to be a race to get to that first home game of the season. We'll see what we can do on the schedule to maybe start at home a little later in the season, start on the road for the first couple weeks. But yeah, planning on breaking ground officially in first quarter of 2025. We've already had a little bit of site research work done at the site at Bridgeway. So some things are happening kind of behind the scenes, and we'll get equipment out there hopefully in the next few months to start the grading process.
So they're going to be pictures of like you. See, now, if you had Ronaldinho and a bulldozer, that would be a photo. You get
Him in a Triumph and Liberty hard hat.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
yeah. See, you're right there. See, there's the marketing, the branding
yep.
and marketing right there. USL League One continues to be one of the most competitive leagues across the board. For those of us that cover it on a weekly basis, we get to sit there and go, man, you guys are knocking the daylights out of each other. For you and all the other owners in the front offices, it's like, man, we're knocking the daylights out of each other. Playoffs are coming up around the corner for you guys, and it's a 2 o'clock start on Saturday against One Knox. Is that right?
Two o'clock start. Yeah, that's what's made it such an interesting week of having the stadium announcement, and now we're back in this morning, and now it's like, hey, we got to refocus. We got a home playoff game on Saturday afternoon kick. The league tries to space all those out and not have them in competing windows. So we get the day started for, I think there's a playoff triple header. There's one of the quarterfinals is Sunday, but we're the first three on Saturday, and as you said, we're all just beating each other up every week. It seems there's not a lot of separation on the table. It wouldn't shock me to see a couple upsets in the first round. I hope we're not one of them as
But
the four
are
seed
they?
hosting the
Are
five.
they? But are they upsets though, considering how tight the table is? Because I mean, for those that don't know,
Yeah,
here's how it broke down. So Los Bujos, Murder Owls, yeah, they're Lagos Kunga, yeah, they're up there. We know that. Hailstorm was at 41 points. Forward Madison at 39. You guys were unbeaten in 4 of your last 5. You finished at 37. One Knox at 35. Charlotte at 34. And then you get that race to be the 7 and the 8. So, no, you guys are, like I said, you guys are knocking the daylights out of each other. And that 3, 4, 5, 6, separated by 5 points. And really, if you go 2 through 6, it's, 6 teams and a handful of points
yeah,
there to separating all of you.
yeah. And in the last month of the season, we had a draw and a loss to two teams that missed the playoffs, and so you just You never know on any given week. I think that's one of the things that's the most exciting about it is every team is gonna. It's a long season. It's kind of like the MLS season, the Atlanta season. As everybody sees, it doesn't matter how good of a bad of a team you are. You're gonna have a month where you think you're the best team in the league, and you're gonna have a month where you think they're the worst team in the league. It's about can you catch fire at the right time? And to what you said, 4 or 5, and we just came off a big rivalry win over Tormenta last weekend to punctuate the season, have Ryan McKinnon earn the Golden Boot for the league. And so I know the guys are feeling great and they're focused, and the run of form, we hope we can continue on because that'll lead to big things.
And now we mentioned expansion, and I know that I'm going all over the board with you here because of where the league is growing. Yesterday, it was announced that Boise is now in. They're going to be joining League One and Super League in coming years. But expansion, that you get that Western footprint, where early on it was the Southeastern footprint for USL League One. Now you're starting to get everybody kind of doing things out west because as I talk with Darren, traditionally, I know that the Greenville to Fresno nonstop flight is just right there
Yeah, exactly.
at the Greenville airport. So now you're starting to get folks drifting in. You're getting AV Alta. You're getting Corpus Christi, Texoma, Santa Barbara. All of this Midwest and Western footprint now helping
Yep.
things out with the regionalization that you guys were looking for from day one.
Yeah, the Western footprint's huge, and we need that to get going and be self-sufficient, so we can split into 2 conferences, so that we can save a little money on travel and not have to play a home and home with all the West Coast teams. I don't know what the schedule is going to look like down the road, but I'd imagine at some point we'll get to you play everybody in your conference twice and you play everybody in the other conference once, and you alternate years on who goes to, who goes where. That's the next step for the growth in our league and starting to get some of those rivalries going. Yeah, from a cost perspective, I don't think we're planning on chartering jets anytime soon.
What?
So I can tell you the we just had to do Spokane and Fresno back-to-back weeks, and it's also not in the budget to stay out on West Coast for a week and set up base camp somewhere like the NFL does when
Oh.
teams go cross country for a couple weeks. So that's huge for us, and again, it helps solve the conference thing ultimately, and it allows for more regional rivalries, which is huge because we know how much our players and fans get up for Tormenta and Charlotte.
The Peach States Derby. Where is the Peach Basket? Is it there in the office with me?
It is at our team store and office out my door right now. I actually haven't laid eyes on it since we put it back. I knowing that we had a pretty good shot to win it on Saturday, I was gonna Darren and Tormenta brought it up, and I was gonna go get some fresh peaches to put in the basket of the trophy so the guys could enjoy. And I don't know if it's the hurricane or we're just at the end of the season, but we went to 2 grocery stores and couldn't find any peaches. So we got fake peaches in there right now, but it's good to have the trophy back. It's the first time we've ever won a rivalry trophy. We've obviously been playing Tormenta for a while, but this is only the second year of the trophy. And then we had one with Richmond early on that we were never able to bring home. So good to have a little hardware in the team store. Fans to come by, take a picture with it. But we've got our sights set on adding another ring to our fingers in a couple weeks, hopefully.
And put the sign there in front of the peach basket. Not real peaches. Do not
Do
consume.
not eat. Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
Well, my friend, congratulations on the big news yesterday there with the announcement. And as always, you know that if there's anything going on, we're going to be knocking on your door to come in and visit while you're having your morning cup of coffee before your meetings, and we get to break down everything going on with you guys. Playoffs this weekend and the stadium coming by 2026. As always, Doug, great to see you, my friend. We will catch up with you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, John.
There we go. Doug Irwin, Grand Exalted Poobah, Chief Brand Officer, and Choice D, all the above, all around good dude. So they had a big day, busy day yesterday. 10,000 seat facility announcement in Malden, South Carolina. And so Vice Chair, Chief Branding Officer Doug Irwin gets to drop by and hang out with us. And the construction of a permanent home in the heart of the economic heat map I gotta write that down. Economic heat map. So economic heat map. Malden, South Carolina. So Triumph, Liberty, Malden, South Carolina, Bridgeway Station, 10,000 seat facility. Hoping that it can be there early, like right at the beginning of 2026, or as Doug said, maybe start your season on the road a couple of weeks, and then you have your big grand opening. And we got to talk about Ronaldinho, got to talk about Mr. Ronaldinho. I can't wait for that. So Ronaldinho, Bridgeway Station, 10,000 seats, USL League One, playoffs this weekend, big day for Greenville Pro Soccer, Triumph, Liberty, State of South Carolina, from Malden. As always, it's great to catch up with Doug and find out what's going on up there. So I guess technically that was opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's the QR code for those of you who are hanging out with us this morning. There you go. You hit that QR code, you kick off your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, so we have the rundown from Nino Damas as to what he's going to be talking about. And, Douginho. Got to catch up with him. And so, the USL show, kind of keeping their ears posted on that one, too. And, but no, it was great to catch up with Kaler earlier in the week on Tuesday, catching up with Doug today because of the announcement that happened yesterday. So 10,000 seat multi-use sports and entertainment stadium. And I'm glad we got to talk about the difference between, say, 6 to 8 and 8 to 10 and why they went to the 8 to 10 because of concerts and other things and possible friendlies and camps and things like that. Hughes Investments at Bridgeway Station. And so permanent home, Triumph and Liberty, professional and youth sport hub, field sports as lacrosse, rugby, and football venue for concerts, festivals, and community events. Estimated to cost between $80 and $100 million. We mentioned we got to catch up with them about the groundbreaking in 25, planned opening in 26, and significant step forward, according to the press release, in positioning Malden and Greater Greenville for a destination for tourism and community gatherings in South Carolina. So, quote from Joe Irwin yesterday, chairman of Greenville Triumph and the Liberty, representing the next chapter for the clubs. Always envisioned a home that would not only serve as a place for soccer, but as a gathering point for the entire community to enjoy an array of field sports, concerts, and community events. So, advancing its mission to support youth soccer, they partnered with Special Olympics South Carolina to launch a unified team. This was very cool also. So, unified team was launched this year. And you know what the unified team means to Atlanta United and to teams inside Major League Soccer. Greenville got to do that this year. And so very, very cool that USL League One is staking their claims into the unified footprint as well and offering those opportunities for individuals as well to be a part of the unified teams across the board. So very, very cool stuff. And Tormenta, once again, Kaler Unified Series USL is awesome. Tormenta really spearheaded that movement, and it's so cool. Very, very, very cool having Tormenta and Liberty and Triumph and Liberty, Triumph/Liberty, be a part of that. Very, very cool when it comes to the unified stuff. Okay, so you can go to greenvilletriumph.com/new stadium. You want to look at pictures and things. So greenvilletriumph.com/new stadium. And once again, playoffs this weekend in USL League One. Early kick. So actually, they're the 2 o'clock. So 2, 7, and 9. Greenville hosting 1 Knox at Furman. Forward Madison hosting Charlotte. Hailstorm hosting Spokane Velocity. I imagine it's at Four Rivers. It's listed as a TBD. So let's cross-reference, shall we, the 2 o'clock kick in Greenville and find out what they are going to be. It's like you can go and see them. Are they going up against anything in that particular part of the state at that particular time? Let's see. No. No, but it's good to see App State having a home game at Kid Brewer in Boone. That's big. Old Dominion and App State. We do need to cycle back and catch up with our friends in Western North Carolina and find out how their seasons are going. It looks like the home games, because the Clemson game's a night game. So Clemson's a night game at 7:30. So the runway is clear for you to go catch the playoffs at Furman University in Paladin Stadium for One Knox and for Greenville Triumph. So that is your mission should you choose to accept it. So that's where you are involving playoffs. And obviously we'll have our quick review, preview, recap on USL Championship, USL League One, and everything else that's going on in USL. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. Now, also, yesterday we had FA Cup yesterday. We had a bunch of things going on, and who knew that Aberdeen would be on the rise when it comes to what's going on? So Aberdeen, and because Rangers, there's an article in the Athletic, by the way, as I'm sitting here, I'm staring at headline. There is an article in the Athletic about where Rangers is right now, and it ain't good. But for Aberdeen to be challenging Celtic, that's going to be the fun part of this next part of this. Nino's going to join us about 15 minutes, but the headline here, Amorim has agreed to a deal to join Manchester United from Sporting on a contract to 2027. It's only a 2.5-year deal. That might be the new way, where you're sitting there and you're doing halves and you're not completely, because, I mean, Thomas Tuchel signed a 1.5-year deal. Pochettino signed a 1.5-year deal. Ruben Amorim signs a 2.5-year deal. Contract till 27, but will not start until November's international break. So keep an eye on that. Yesterday, with all of the Gummy Bear Cup stuff, injuries. Timo Werner scored for Spurs going up against Manchester City, but Savinho had to be carried off the field. Werner ended up being injured later. Van de Ven injured as well. So this is what, you've got to keep an eye on these things. And now you know why Pep Guardiola was like, this is the least of our priorities. We got stuff to do. So you got to keep an eye on these kinds of things. Eberechi Eze was injured yesterday for Crystal Palace. Palace beats Villa, but Eze was injured. And so how will this affect these clubs going forward? Because Crystal Palace, Oliver Glasner, he is on job dissipation watch right now at Crystal Palace. Now with Eze injured, Crystal Palace is just above the drop zone. And I know we're only a handful of matches in, but people have these early panics. And we were discussing in the Premier League, okay, who would be the next one to go? Glasner was on that list. Now, with how things are going in the Premier League, check the table real quick, because we were kind of going at it with we were trying to answer the question, who might be next. Crystal Palace right now 2 points ahead of the drop. 2 points ahead of the drop. So if I'm Oliver Glasner, is my Gummy Bear Cup success going to keep the Wolves at bay? I don't know. 1, 3, and 5 in their first 9. Basically, you're at the quarter pole. You're 2 points away from the drop zone as Crystal Palace. And we've always talked about Crystal Palace as just kind of wanting to be there. They're kind of like, we're cool. We're good. We're happy to be here. We're just happy to have a seat at the table. We'll be okay. And that's that's their baseline. We'll be all right. We just want to be all right. We'll spend enough money to be okay. And I know that a lot of folks are chasing after Eberechi Eze as a talent. And if Eze is injured, you got to keep an eye on that, A, for your own safety, and B, for your financials. Glasner's on that list of next out. Russell Martin at Southampton, 1 point in their first 9 matches. Wolves, Gary O'Neill, I think, is safe just because he is like, okay, I need some help. Wolves is like, no, we can't do it. And O'Neill's like, okay, fine. Who would want the Wolves gig would be my next question. And because of the early lack of success at Crystal Palace, Ipswich has 4 draws. They just don't have any wins. They get a win, they're above the drop. Kieran McKenna's not going anywhere. McKenna knew what he was getting into, has navigated it. They're in the Premier League. Glasner and Russell Martin, to me, would be the next two on the list. Palace right now at 6 points. Sean Dyche and Everton, and I know that everybody's sitting there talking about Everton going, Sean Dyche, not yet. Leicester and Steve Cooper, don't think so. Manchester United pulled the trigger. West Ham, Lopetegui, 11 points. But remember, you get a win, you're up to 8th. Relatively speaking, because you get to 14 points at that point. Spurs right now are in 8th at 13 points. So literally you win a game, you go from 14th to 8th in a hurry. So for me, it's Russell Martin at Southampton, Glasner at Crystal Palace, and Eberechi Eze getting injured doesn't help matters as you want to work your way through. So yeah, ain't good. And it is not good. Looking at what else happened yesterday in the Gummy Bear Cup. Liverpool beat Brighton in a shootout 3-2. Palace once again beating Villa 2-1. Manchester United put 5 on Leicester. It was 3-1, ended up 5-2. Newcastle with the big win over Chelsea 2-0. Arsenal shutting out Preston North End 3-0. Spurs over Manchester City 2-1. And I know that a lot of folks are sitting there and looking at what happened yesterday. Why didn't Manchester City start, Erling Haaland? Because, as we've referenced involving Pep Guardiola, Guardiola said, this is our lowest priority. We're like traveling thousands of miles in a week. We got Champions League. We got Premier League. We got stuff we got to focus on. Carabao Cup is the least priority, number 4. Everybody's like, well, you're going up against in Carabao Cup. No, not worth it. So he sits Erling Haaland yesterday. Clear in his post-match press conference about the scale of Man City's injury crisis, 13 players available. And it showed, according to our friends at Sky. Just under 20 minutes to go searching for an equalizer. Jemai Simpson-Pusi came on as City's final substitute. Jamie Redknapp, when Guardiola isn't bringing on Haaland with 15 to go, that tells you where Man City were. They already had a couple of injuries, didn't want any more. 3 away games, Bournemouth, Sporting, Brighton. That's what you've got coming up. Ange Postecoglou, they got a big win yesterday. Sandro Tonali yesterday, 3 chances created in the win over Chelsea. 55 touches, 41 passes, passing accuracy of 90.2. 1 possession twice in the final third. Eddie Howe has built plenty of credit, according to Sky, over the past 3 years. Run of 5 games without a victory, placed significance on the rematch with Chelsea. Took advantage of poor defending. Tonali played a big role. Vega had a strike blocked by Tonali. Poor touch from Vega to stab a pass through to Isak for the opener. Casemiro got the ball rolling for Ruud van Nistelrooy for Manchester United yesterday. Opening goal came in off the crossbar, added a second, almost got a hattie before the break. Finished the game with a 78% passing accuracy yesterday, meaning Casemiro, 8 long passes, 4 tackles, and clearances on top of the brace. So, temporary happiness for Manchester United. Leicester had spells where they had most of the possession, but what do we say about possession? It don't matter. El Khanous and Connor Cody scored before the half. Gave up 5, could have been more. Steve Cooper had made 9 changes to his starting lineup after their loss to Nottingham Forest from the weekend. That should show you where, once again, if Leicester's making 9 changes and Manchester City has a bench of 2, that should tell you where Carabao Cup is right now. And everybody's sitting there saying, man, there was one that got away, could have made it 4-3 at one point. And Chelsea was doing great with their starting second 11. But then you lose to Newcastle. Cody Gakpo is creating thought for Arne Slot when it comes to who's going to be on the left wing. 2-goal performance. Luis Diaz got a strike of his own. So you're getting productivity from 2 guys. All comps this year, Diaz and Gakpo have scored 10 on 21 shots on target, 4 assists total, 10 big chances created, 38 take-ons completed. And then we mentioned Eberici Eze. Adam Wharton also injured for Crystal Palace yesterday in the Gummy Bear Cup. Aston Villa once again got Tyrone Mings and Boubacar Kamara back. And so if you are Aston Villa, you're looking at that and going, ooh, look at all who lost yesterday. And that's always a good thing if you're trying to win silverware. Who lost yesterday? Manchester City lost yesterday. Chelsea lost yesterday. So that was good for fans of those folks. And now apparently, after all of the talk, you could have funds available for Ruben Amorim. You could possibly have funds available for Ruben Amorim. Oh no, I can't believe it. A limited transfer budget in January after it was disclosed that Erik ten Hag pretty much wasn't going to have nothing available. $200 million to spend in the summer, meaning Ten Hag. You bring in Xerxes, Yoro, De Ligt, Mazraoui, and Ugarte. Amorim will not have to buy to sell, according to Sky, but he is constrained by PSR. United have spent around £600 million. £600 million. Building a squad with what Ten Hag wanted when he came in by the time he walked in the door in 2022. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We also got some awards in MLS handed out. Barcelona leading the race to sign Liverpool fullback Trent Alexander-Arnold following, quote, very positive recent talks between the player's entourage. How does that work? The player's entourage and Barcelona sporting director Deco, according to El Nacional. Hansi Flick has reportedly given the move a green light. How does that work? Legitimately. You've got an entourage. So my entourage will speak with you. I mean, I know that you're busy and you're in games and things and you've got that going on. But how does this work? Is the size of the entourage in indirect proportion or disproportionate? Does the number of folks in the entourage, is that disproportionate to the level of success in a negotiation? Is it too many cooks? How does this work? I want to know how this works. I don't have an entourage, so I'm asking. If any of you have had entourages help negotiate contracts, please contribute to this conversation. Or how do you think this would go? So Trent Alexander-Arnold apparently has an entourage. And so he's drifting, his entourage is taking care of these conversations. Traditionally, it just used to be an agent. And I'm guessing Trent Alexander-Arnold does not have Jimmy Sexton to be his agent. He has an entourage instead. If this entourage of 4, 5, 7, 10, 12, you're going to go talk to Deco in Barcelona. Hansi Flick's like, yeah, I want Trent Alexander-Arnold. Get this done. You have an entourage. Entourage goes into corner boardroom. I imagine it's going to have to be a very long table, a long rectangular table. And if your entourage is too big for the seats at the table, does the entourage have their own discussion as to who's going to be sitting at the table? And do they argue about it? And is that a detriment to the negotiation because the entourage can't figure out who's going to be sitting at the table versus who's going to be sitting in the chairs on the edges and just stuck with a drink in their hands with a napkin and sipping water that's going to condensate through the napkin the whole time instead of being able to place it on the table? Who's getting the snacks? Who in the entourage is going to be getting the snacks and having them placed on the table, and who in the entourage after they get these snacks has to sit down on the edges and not at the table and just kind of sit and watch with chairs that probably are not the same size and the level of the table, probably a little lower. So you're kind of having to look up a little bit. How does this work within the entourage? I can't really see this being successful unless Trent Alexander-Arnold has sat there and said, I'm appointing one dude. Doesn't matter how many of you wander into this room, this dude is the one who's speaking for me. But, no, this dude is the one who's speaking for me. I'd love to know how many people are in the entourage for Trent Alexander-Arnold. I really would. And is that in indirect proportion to the level of success? If your entourage is bigger, does the entourage bicker and slow down negotiations as opposed to having a couple of dudes, maybe an agent, and a couple of handlers? When I hear entourage, yeah, I know I'm thinking about the HBO show kind of a little bit where it's 5 or 6 dudes kind of hanging out, and they're there with, you're there with your actor buddy. But how many in the entourage are there actually to get stuff done, and how many are in the entourage just to be in the entourage? And do those that are just in the entourage slow things down because they're not there to help out negotiations? These are the questions that I have. Entourage. I know probably that what we call entourage is probably just a couple of dudes. But it was odd to see the word entourage be a part of the whole thing. Other news, Claudio Ranieri has hinted he may be tempted to come out of retirement for a national team gig. 73, retired back in May. He said, I confess that I want to put myself back on the line, even though I've already said no to more than one offer. Let's see if a call comes from a national team. So basically, Claudio Ranieri, he wants to get back to work, but he wants a national team gig instead of just a day-to-day gig. Brighton and Trabzonspor among the clubs tracking Malmo winger Taha Ali, according to the Taka Gazette. Sunderland trying to do everything they can to ward off interest from Premier League clubs and teenage sensation Chris Rigg, according to Football Insider. Barcelona could try and tempt Rafa Leao away from AC Milan, with Jorge Mendes said to be driving a potential move for his compatriot, according to El Nacional. Sheffield United set to snap up Jamal Baptiste after the former West Ham youngster impressed on a trial at Bramall Lane. He's 20 and a free after opting to leave Manchester City at the end of last year. Spent time at Portsmouth before joining the Blades last month on a trial. Forest Lone star Lewis O'Brien attracting interest from Southampton, Leeds, West Brom, Sheffield United, Stoke, and Hull, following his impressive form for LAFC in Major League Soccer, according to Team Talk. Manchester City keeper Stefan Ortega is attracting interest from Bayer Leverkusen ahead of the January market, according to Bild. So you have that to keep an eye on as well. Other gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and we'll get into what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And Nino should be joining us shortly, as he comes in fully loaded as he always does. So, no, that's not what I clicked. So apparently Anthony is not in Ruben Amorim's Manchester United plans, and they're just gonna apparently eat that $11 gazillion that were invested in Anthony. Amorim has already discussed his transfer plans, according to Team Talk. Doesn't see Anthony, Casemiro, Christian Eriksen, or Lindelof as a part of the plan. West Ham's decision not to appoint Amorim in the summer was down to his lack of experience in managing a big club rather than a financial one, according to the four-letter paper. Manchester City rejected approaches on several clubs to take 18-year-old attacking midfielder Claudio Echeverri on loan, with the Argentine expected to link up with Pep Guardiola's side from River Plate at the start of 2025, according to Fabrizio Romano. Roma have begun their search for a replacement manager should current boss Ivan Juric fail to win their next match against Torino. Ten Hag considered signing Manchester United striker Danny Welbeck from Brighton during his tenure. West Ham struggling to progress in their interest in Atalanta forward Ademola Lookman, with PSG favorites to sign the Nigerian international if he becomes available. Real Madrid will consider a move for Pedro Porro if they cannot complete a move for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Clubs in the Saudi Pro League remain keen on signing Vinicius Jr. from Real Madrid, hoping the player will be fatigued with European football after his Ballon d'Or snub. Thomas Müller interested in a move to Major League Soccer when he leaves Bayern Munich. That's from Bild. Napoli continuing negotiations with Georgia forward Kvichka Kvaratskhelia over a new contract, which will include a 100 million euro buyout clause. And we mentioned Chris Rigg. So what the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote is banking on, I'm thinking it has to do more with the Ballon d'Or snub. See, UEFA doesn't like you. Come on over. They're probably also talking about, see all of this ish that you have to deal with off the field? You won't have to deal with that here. That's probably more the play than the Ballon d'Or snub. Because Vinicius Jr. probably wants to win 10 of them now. It's probably the Saudi Pro League sitting there saying, well, you know, all of that stuff that you've had to deal with, you won't have to deal with that here. I'm holding my breath on that one. Law firm AS&H Clifford Chance, according to rights groups and Pete Pattison, a report by the Saudi arm of a global law firm on the 2034 FIFA World Cup bid has whitewashed the Gulf Kingdom's record of exploiting and suppressing rights of migrant workers, rights groups have claimed. Once again, Pete Pattison at The Guardian, and this is probably your requested reading of the day. AS&H Clifford Chance commissioned to independently assess the human rights implications of the bid, but the report contains, quote, no substantive discussion of extensive and relevant abuses in Saudi Arabia, according to a statement released by 11 organizations, including Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch. Saudi Arabian Football Fed, which commissioned the report, has submitted it to FIFA as a part of its bid to host the tournament. As the sole bidder of the 34 World Cup, Saudi Arabia is almost certain to be named the host by FIFA later this year. Well, duh. Calling the report shockingly poor, James Lynch, co-director of human rights group Fair Square, said AS&H Clifford Chance had helped to remove a key final stumbling block to awarding the tournament to Saudi Arabia, while ALQST for Human Rights, a Saudi Arabian diaspora organization, said it served to whitewash the reality of abuse and discrimination faced by Saudi Arabia's citizens and residents. So that will now become required reading for the day, if you want to see what's going on there at The Guardian. We're after 10 o'clock. You know what that means? It means hour number 2. And that also means that somebody comes fully loaded with his hydration. He is fully loaded, properly hydrated, ready to go. We bring the man in, and he's also got something around his neck that he's going to talk about too. We're adding him. It's our man Nino. What's up, Nino?
Hello, people. Hello, Soccer Down here. Hello, John Nelson. Hello, everyone. And of course, I'm proud of showing this scarf. Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Thank you, Soccer Down here. Appreciate it. Got the Atlanta United scarf. Now I'm officially a new Atlanta United fan.
Hey man, you're part of the SDH family, so it's 5 stripes. That's where we are. You're a part of La Familia, so that's where this works.
Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate it, man. Always fun to be here, man. Always.
I will say this. I was sending scarves out from our Marshall Islands project. I'm going to ask you about that thing that you just sipped from in a second. I was sending out Marshall Island scarves to folks who are helping out fund the last federation on the planet, last nation on the planet to not have a soccer federation. So we're helping them out, and it's been one of our labors of love. And I was at the post office, and I'm like, okay, this one's going to Portugal. This one's going to Germany. This one's going to Peru. And I pray that the United States Postal Service can read your address the way that you wrote it. Literally, you laid out your address, and I'm like, no, this is his address. Do not stray from this. Do not try to interpret what's going on. It's like, no, it's going to Peru. It's like, what's the city name? No, as is, written, piped down, clamped, stamped. This is it. Get it there. And I was so concerned that somebody was going to freelance and go, where's this going? Oh no, it's not going there. But it got there. I'm like, thank you, all of the Jesuses, that it got there in one piece.
I know, and you know what? My mom once she went to the post office when we were in the States, and she was saying, "Yeah, this goes to Peru." Oh, and they were about to send it to Beirut. to Beirut, brother. I was like, no, Beirut. No, it's Peru. Peru, Peru. Jesus.
Wow.
But
That's
hey,
woo.
yeah, far away, huh?
You ain't kidding. They continue. Oh, well, actually, before we get into Ruben Amorim, what's that thing that you were drinking that I just saw? What color was that? Was that pink?
This one, yeah. It's berries, man. Berries. You got strawberries, blueberries, pineapple. You know, yeah,
Right.
healthy stuff, brother. Healthy
Just
stuff.
checking. I was like, that is a color I'm not used to seeing when it comes to somebody sipping something on a morning show. Ruben Amorim. We were talking about Ruben Amorim, and last week you were like, I don't think he's going to City. But now apparently it's a 2.5-year deal. He gets to bring his assistants, and they added another $4 million or whatever to it. So 14, 15 million going to Sporting. Amorim now to Manchester United. What do you think? And we'll get into the repercussions later on down. But initial thoughts when Amorim was announced to Manchester United.
I was shocked first because he happened that quick. But at the same time, I was so happy for Amorim because I think he's the one of the smartest coaches in the world right now. And he's gonna bring a lot of dynamics to United. He's gonna revive. He's gonna awaken this giant been sleeping for years now. Since we could never, and I'm saying we because I'm a United fan, and I'm saying we because since Fergie left. You can never get it together with a freaking coach, man. Not once. Even Mourinho. I mean, so many coaches. I lost count how many coaches United hired since Fergie left.
I think 5.
5, right? I think it is, right? It's 5. It's Moyes, is Mourinho, Ten Hag,
Ole. We got Ole.
Which one?
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Oh yeah, Ole. Yeah, Ole too. I forgot Ole. So, I mean, men of the house, they couldn't get it together. But now I think they got the right guy. I think United got the right guy. Of course, they're gonna, they already spend loads of money on players, right? But this guy is gonna get the money into the right places. These guys, like, don't bring me that Anthony from the freaking Eredivisie. Don't bring me this guy. Pay $60 million for this Danish guy that nobody knows, who scored only 9 goals in the Serie A in five seasons. No. Well, I'm gonna get my guys because I'm playing in a certain way, and then for my team to play in the way that I want it, I need 3 or 4 new elements that United doesn't have, starting for the left back and striker. So I don't know, maybe this. So the soap opera of Ruben Amorim leaving Portugal doesn't end here. Wait for the winter transfer window in January. He's going to snatch some key players from Sporting, and that's the real impact. That's a real impact in the Premier League.
Who do you think is gonna? Who do you think he would like to pluck from his roster to help out Sporting financially and help himself out at Manchester United? Who do you think he can get? Because I know you and I sit there and fawn. We sit there and fawn over Victor Gyökeres. I don't think that could happen because he's going to have limited funds to spend, according to published reports. So if he doesn't have a whole lot of money to drop, considering they dropped $200 million on bringing in like 5 or 6 other dudes, limited money, big impact. Who do you think that could be?
I think he's going to get 2 players from Sporting.
Right.
One is Pochi, the left winger, and the other one is Gonzalo Inacio, the left center back from Portugal. And who knows, man? I don't know if you said that a limited amount of money, right? But I think he will go for Gyökeres too. I would.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't sit there and not do something because, people are going to sit there and go, well, why didn't you go after Victor Gyökeres if you don't do it?
I think those are the 3 players from for one strange reason, I cannot remember the name of the left back from Bayer Leverkusen who played for Benfica. I'm Jesus. Why am I going blank on this? The Leverkusen left back. It's a Spaniard guy, shorty. Jesus Lord, I can remember his name. Why Nino? Why? Hold on a second. Let me pull him up right real quick. Can you get it, John? No,
I'll see who gets there first. Let's see who gets there first. Because I went to transfer mark, so let's see what happens. All right. So right. So who are you looking for? What position?
Left back.
Okay, so I'm looking for I got left wingers, I got right backs. Grimaldo?
That guy. Grimaldo.
Okay.
Grimaldo, that guy.
Okay.
Grimaldo. That guy. It is an absolute beast as a left back. And that's a position that really United is lacking. And so yeah, I think those are the four guys that I think he will go after.
Okay.
Grimaldo, Gonzalo Ignacio, Pochi, and Gyökeres. Those are the four names that we'll see about that by the end of the year. But I think those are the guys that he's going to go after.
So we talk about leaving Sporting, and Sporting has been gangbusters. I mean, they're crushing it, and it's like everybody else is sitting there, and they're on the lake. Everybody's water skiing on the lake, and Sporting's got the boat with the dude that's doing all the tricks and everything on the water skiing, and everybody's having to live in that wake of that boat at the front that's doing all the fun stuff. How do you think this impacts what's going on in the Portuguese league?
In Benfica and in Porto, they were like, all right, this guy's gone. Now we're going after Sporting. Now we're going after Sporting because I was doing the podcast on Tuesday night with my boys from Portugal, and the guy from Sporting said he was the most important piece of Sporting. Not Gyökeres, not the other players. No, Amorim. He was the brain of the soccer operation for Sporting. The man who changed. He really changed Sporting because since he arrived, Sporting was really having a chance to get to the titles, and they won 2, and they're about to win 3 in 5 years after not winning once in 19 years. In 19 years, they were in a drought of 19 years, and now you're winning 3 in 5 years. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, and not only that, because as Ruben Amorim is leaving, now Benfica and Porto, they're elevating their game dramatically. Now, okay, you got Gyökeres. Oh, okay, we got Samuel Mordion also, who scored a hat trick, scoring goals every 50 minutes, every 51 minutes. He scored goals for Porto, and then you got Tucoglu, who also scored a hat trick for Benfica, scoring also 6 goals in the last 5 games. So everyone is on the rise, and now there's this uncertainty of who's going to take cover, who's going to be the captain, who's going to lead this beautiful and stunning and powerful boat. But those guys got more experienced captains on their boats. So, it's an even the title race now. It was if they were 1 lap ahead, now they're 2 seconds or 3 seconds ahead of the competitors. I mean, that's how close it is now. We don't want to leave him.
Who do they bring in as manager to try to make sure that they can still get this across the finish line? I mean, I know we're at the quarter pole and everything, but who do they bring in?
It is. All right. The name that is circulating already is the Sergio Conceição, who left Porto. Right. So he's a different type. It's a different mentality. He's raw. All right. He's so bold with his decisions, but he's also so stubborn. So I don't know if he's going to be the right man, but for now, there's the interim coach is going to be the one from the B team. But I don't know, man. I don't know who's going to be the guy to come into Sporting to lead the way to the championship. That I mean, you can't mess it up. I mean, you can't mess up this team. All right, the way it's going, you just gotta continue what Ruben Amorim left, and you get it. If you come in, if any coach comes in and ruins this championship for Sporting, I don't know. It's something that you can't mess up, but apparently, nothing is said. Nothing is for certain. Nothing is guaranteed. So
I mean, right now, 3 points ahead of Porto, and then they've distanced themselves ahead of Benfica right now. Benfica 6-1-1. They've only played 8. They got a match in hand. But Sporting's at 27. They're perfect. Then Porto has the one loss. That's why they're 3 points behind. Sporting's only given up 2 goals all year. Porto's given up only 4 in the first 9. Benfica's given up 5 in their first 8. Santa Clara has given up 10 in their first. They've given up a goal a match. They're in 4th. Braga's given up 6, and then you kind of work your way
but
back.
The Clásico is next weekend. Benfica Porto.
Woo.
Next weekend on Sunday the 10th. So
man, I'm looking forward to that. Libertadores and Sudamericana. I know that you are. Where is the nearest religious facility where you turn and can sit there and do your
I don't know, man. I don't know. We gotta go somewhere, man.
You got a genuflect, brother. If what you're telling me here is like you want Racing to beat Corinthians tonight to avoid an all-Brazilian finals in both the Sudamericana and Libertadores.
I'm tired, man. I'm sick of these Brazilians, man. I'm really come on, leave something for the rest. Leave something for the rest of us. We're another 9 federations, man. Come on, man. Give me something. But I think Racing has a real chance. Okay, Racing has a real chance because the way they play in Brazil, when they beat, they didn't beat Corinthians. It was 2-2 in the first leg, but Racing was harassing Corinthians in Brazil, and tonight in El Cilindro, Buenos Aires, baby, Racing is gonna go after Corinthians, and it's gonna be a fascinating matchup tonight. I think it's the more even matchup of all series. Because last night Lanús, he got something going. They got the goal at the beginning, and then they Cruzeiro imposed themselves. They dissect the defense of Lanús and ended up winning and saying bye-bye to Lanús, avoiding denying Lanús the third finals in Sudamericana. And in Libertadores, oh my God, baby. Oh my God. I'm gonna share this with you and with the fans here, okay? Because Gary Milito said something about the Brazilian teams and the Brasileirão and the tournament, and he was absolutely on point on this. But the Brasileirão is the most competitive tournament in the world. Not just in the continent, but in the world. Why is that? Because if you go to Spain, it's Real Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia, three games, 3 teams.
Yeah.
You go to the Premier League, you got the big 6, but really now it's a big 3, not a big 6, because United and Chelsea, they're up. All right, you go to Serie A, you got Juventus, Inter, you got in Germany it's the Bayerns. Leverkusen and Bayern Munich. That's it. But in Brazil, you got 10, 12 true competitors, 10 to 12 teams that can have a real shot to win the championship. You don't have that anywhere in the planet. You don't have that. He's right. There's no other tournament where the 10 teams had a real chance to win the championship in the Brasileirão. And that also translate that into the other side of the story with River Plate. They leading. They're not the leaders yet. It's Vélez Sarsfield, the leaders of the Super League Argentina. But you got a tournament with 30 teams that it's not even close, man. It's not even close. You got 3-4 teams, and the rest you got 15 to 16 teams that have no reason whatsoever to be in the race for the title. And that competitiveness, the level of competitiveness from Argentina, from Ecuador, from Peru, from Uruguay, it's not even close. I mean, we said that last week about the money and all that, right? But I'm talking about competitiveness among the teams, who you play against every week. We can play fantastic against Barraca Central, against Defensa y Justicia. But if you go to Atlético Mineiro plays Corinthians, plays Flamengo, plays Fluminense. It's a different story. It's a different matchup. It's like when you go in a boxing match, right? You go, I beat all my boys here, but then when you go to the real deal, you find yourself and they knock you out. You know,
You're looking at right now, and I think they have, if my math is right, they play a 38 match regular season. So they got 7 or 8 matches left, depending on who you're talking about. Botafogo Palmeiras, this is regular season. This isn't tournament stuff.
not Palmeiras, forgot about Palmeiras.
Yeah, Botafogo Palmeiras 1-2. Fortaleza is 3. Flamengo is 4. Internacional is 5. Sao Paulo is 6. Then you have another gap from 7 through 12. Bahia, Cruzeiro, Vasco, Atletico Mineiro, Grêmio, Criciúma. Fluminense currently is out of the playoff discussion. Corinthians currently out of the playoff discussion. Atletico Paranaense out of the playoff discussion, and they are out of the drop zone on goal difference by 1 goal from Bragantino. Bragantino is -6 at 34. Atletico Paranaense -5 at 34. That's 1 goal. Juventude, 34 points. They've got some goal difference to make up. Cuiaba's at 27 and Atletico Gio's at 22. But, yeah, you look at there's a lot of heavy hitters that are in that lower half of that league that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you slip on the points and you go down. You go down, baby. The Brasileirão is not only the toughest tournament in the world, it's the longest tournament in the world, alongside with the Premiership. You know, the 2 tournaments in the world that have more games across all the planet. Man.
And then, of course, in Argentina, everybody's playing everything all the time, and you end up like 98 games and ish like that when you're trying to literally their league. Argentina, we follow Argentina because of Jason's love for Argentina and the Argentine Torneo. They have that, traditionally we're used to seeing, 20 teams in leagues outside the United States. 28 teams. It is very Americanized that they've got 28 teams right now in the top league in Argentina, in the Torneo. They got 28 teams, man. And they are, let's see, 20. So you got 27? I think they've got another 8 or 9 games themselves. Our boys from Defensa, they got some work to do. But, yeah, they got a 28-team league, and they end up with all the tournaments and all the ish that's going on. They end up playing 90 matches in a season because they're that insane.
It's ridiculous, man. I don't know what Chiquitapia. He got reelected also, the Chiquitapia, the president of AFA. He's Barraca Central, of course. It's the thing. What's the deal with these presidents, man? That they love to get their own team in the top flight division. It happened in Argentina. It's happening here in Peru. I don't know what's the deal. It's just, all right. You got all the money. All right. You're getting all the money. Please, I mean, get your share, but do something positive for the league. Not just do something positive for you and your pockets, man.
Oh, come on. These days, more folks are looking at, sadly, I think you got a lot of folks who are trying to, in the business world, keep an eye out for themselves and their business interests than for the good of the game. And I think that's disappointing.
It is what it is, man. Hey.
A lot of times. All right, so we're going to go to Peru now.
Yes,
and it is decision day coming up. And here's what it's like. You got your see now. I thought that in addition to wearing the SDH scarf, you might be busting out your favorite jersey there with the NOB.
Yeah, I don't have it.
You got it. So here's the deal for those that don't follow, and you can follow on Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps out the network, helps them out, helps us out, turns you into a true degenerate more than you were before. Deportes, you're ahead. You have to match the match day result of Alianza Lima. You have to match or better what's going on. You play Los Chancas.
Los Chancas, yes.
Los Chancas is mid-table. They're 12th. And they can't figure out if they want to win or lose on a daily basis, so they do each. So you've got Los Chancas, and you have to match the result of Alianza Lima, who's playing Cusco, who is better. They're 7th in the table.
Yeah.
And
this is still a team, man.
So you've got 6 goals in the goal difference, identical records, even number of points. You just got to scoreboard watch and see what's going on with Alianza Lima and match what they're doing so you can parade around the palatial estate of Fully Loaded and celebrate another title. That's what you've got coming up this weekend.
Oh yes. I will. I'll be celebrating, man. You know, I'm gonna come up with my scarf, with my jersey, with my dog, everyone for Universitario Deportes, right? But this is the thing. So Universitario just had to win. Only 1-0. Only 1-0. That's all they gotta do. They don't care about what Alianza Lima is doing in their stadium, because they have to score. They got to come up to a 6-goal differential.
Mm-hmm.
So they gotta win by 6.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
And that's only if for us not to win. And it's the chances for us. I'm gonna say we got 95% of the chances, right? But having said that,
yeah,
there is a caveat to this, because this is a Peruvian soccer league, and always something interesting happened. Last weekend, Cristal beat Concepción Unidos 12-0.
Whoa!
12-0.
Whoa!
Why? Because the president of the other team decided he was sick of his players, and he threw on the pitch under 19 team. An under 19 team. So Sporting Cristal beat them 12-0, right?
Wow.
Now, Alianza Lima is going to play Cusco, but guess what? All right. All the contracts for the players are up on Friday.
Wow.
On Friday. And the game is on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
So what they're saying that they might not be playing the professional players because they're out of contract.
Wow.
Right, but the contract said the contract ends on October 31st. But then there's the addendums saying that it's until the end of the season. So it's unclear. It's a gray area right there, right? So we don't know who's gonna play Alianza Lima in Matute. So the chances are that that 6-goal differential could be banished, right?
Wow.
I don't know. Hopefully Cusco FC comes up and I don't know because the coach also was his contract was ending. Today's the 31st. Jeez, I thought it was tomorrow. But he already got the renewal until 2026. The coaching staff, but not the players.
I was gonna say it don't matter if the coaching staff got renewed if the players got issues, man.
And so. The other scenario that could not be possible, there is a decision Sunday, so we can end up with a disaster here. A shameful event, another one for Peruvian soccer.
Wow.
Let's say that Alianza Lima scores, I don't know, 8-0. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Let's put it like that, right? And then they win, ended up winning the Clausura.
Mm-hmm.
So then they have to play a playoff with Sporting Cristal, and then the winner of Sporting Cristal and Alianza Lima's playoff is gonna play with us in the finals because we won the Apertura.
Okay.
And so yeah.
It's like if you don't run the table at Universitario, if you don't run the table, then you end up with Alianza Lima and Sporting Cristal, even if. And then you have a campeón de campeones with Universitario and the winner of, say, Alianza Lima and Sporting Cristal with the 2 and the 3, if you don't run the table and get winning both the Apertura and the Clausura. Did I get that right?
Exactly, yes.
So a campeón de campeones because of math. And so we got to keep it. See, now you put your investigative hat on, man. You're like the private, you're like Columbo with the overcoat and everything. You're like the private. Cusco, keep an eye on Cusco now. Keep an eye on Cusco and the roster. And if goal difference gets out of hand with Alianza Lima. Wow.
Oh, come on. And then there's one more thing. I'm sorry, Joe. I forgot about this.
No. You go, man. You're on a roll.
There's another thing, another condiment to this. Los Chancas, they play Alianza Atletico on Monday, right?
All right.
This past Monday. And but they play in Piura, which is in the north side of the country. So Los Chancas lost their flight, man. They lost their flight, so they cannot return on time. I mean, on time, right? The game is on Sunday, all right? So they got the stock in Piura for another day. So they sent a memo, right, saying that asking to postpone the game with Universitario Deportes because they don't have enough time to recover. What? Really? You play on Sunday, brother. You play on Sunday. It's not like you're playing today. No. On Sunday, you play this past Monday. You don't have time enough to recover. What are you talking about? Because you got to stay another day in Piura, which is so nice, 75 degrees all year round. And then you got to go back to your place. It's up in the mountains a little bit. But come on, man. Come on. Yeah, it's up in the air. Still not decided if they're going to play or not on Sunday.
Wow. See, okay. So look, I mean, you have presented the telenovela Atletico.
Yeah.
For this weekend. That's some strong stuff. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that in addition to Major League Soccer. All right. So before Niko comes in, you have a fall classic story. You have a World Series story for us where the Yankees cannot beat Nino Damas. What the heck is going on here with this?
Yes, sir. All right. So my boy, the other play announcer on Gold TV, made a bet with me, right? Hey, Nino, who do you think is going to win, Yankees or Dodgers? I was Dodgers all the way. I'm going to say Dodgers all the way. They're going to win. No, they're not going to win. The Yankees got, they got Josh, they got Giancarlo Stanton. I don't care. Dodgers are going to win. And then, boom, first game, second game, third game. I'm like, all right. And then the disaster. Last night, disaster on the fifth. Really? Really, Yankees? All right. Anyway, they lost the World Series again. But in 2003, that was my first year in the States. My first year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working with my cousin at a restaurant. And I was following the Marlins, right? I was following the Marlins in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this team is interesting. This team, they are hard. And they were not superstars. They were not, right? And then they got into the World Series. And I was like, boom, these guys, they want to win. The run that they're having, they're going to win. And my cousin said, really, Nino? You just got to the States, man. You don't know anything about baseball, man. Come on, buddy. Come on. The Yankees are going to crush your Marlins. Huh? They're going to run over your Marlins. They're going to end this series in 4 games. No question. All right. Oh, you want to bet? All right, let's bet. Let's bet, man. Let's bet. A case of Heineken. All right. Deal. Boom. Win. And they won. I won. But it was beautiful, man. It was beautiful. Yeah. That was,
no one doubt Nino Damas. No one doubts Nino Damas. All right. So what? Before Niko drops in, because I have the handoff question this week for both of you, and I want you both to answer that has more to do with baseball than anything else. What matches are you calling this week? Do you know yet?
Yes, I got the Benfica's game. We got Nacional, and we have the Peñarol. We got the big ones from Uruguay, Peñarol and Nacional games, and we got Aruca and Braga on Sunday. And also we close in on Monday with the Primera Liga with the Islanders, Nacional de Madeira, and Santa Clara. Santa Clara's doing good, man, on the table this year, man. They're doing good, man.
In the Uruguay Primera tomorrow, Maldonado and Rampla Juniors.
Rampla Juniors, yeah.
Danubio Miramar, Nacional, and CA Cerro. Nacional, big favorite at 6 o'clock Eastern time at a minus 357 in the juice boxes. Yes. Boston River and Cerro Largo. Boston River is favored right now at a minus 108. Then it is Liverpool and Progreso. Liverpool favored at home. Phoenix is a home dog against Racing Montevideo. Racing Montevideo is a plus 144 on the road.
Racing's going to win that one.
River Plate, Peñarol, big favorite on the road at a minus 204. River Plate's north of plus 540. And Wanderers and Defensor. Defensor is a plus 124. Wanderers is a plus 210 with the activity in the Clausura. See, now you got me wondering about juice boxes in Peru now with what's going on.
I didn't see that.
All right, so here we go. Juice boxes in Peru. Today at 6:30, Cienciano and Unión Comercio. Cienciano is a minus 10,000.
What?
Unión Comercio is a plus 45.67 in the composite. Draw is a plus.
Yeah, that's the team that plays with the teenagers.
And so Cienciano a minus 10,000. Basically, they're saying, bro, you got to throw 10,000 on the table if you want $1 back.
Yeah.
Tarma minus 233. You mentioned. So let's see. Grau even money plus 100. Cajamarca's a minus 204. Carlos Manucci, a big favorite against Alianza. Sporting Cristal, a minus 909 against Comerciantes Unidos at a plus 1530. Alianza Lima, a minus 1111. Cusco, a plus 1866. And Universitarios, a minus 270 going to Las Chancas at a plus 572. So there's your subplots. Okay. We get to the handoff, but I have to run the fancy open because we go to Seattle. And I have a baseball question for both of you for the handoff for this morning. So here's where we're going. I'm running the fancy open, and we're bringing in Niko Moreno. Beat 2, 3, 4. How many cups of coffee are you on this morning, Niko?
This is just two. It's just starting to flow through my stream, through my bloodstream. So yeah, just number 2. First sip actually of cup number 2.
Okay, so here's the handoff for this morning. And what I was, Nino Damas over here, he had a story about the World Series. And so it's a World Series question that I'm posing to the both of you. You saw in the game where you had the home run ball, and Mookie Betts is going over the center field wall, and he's trying to grab the home run ball and make the catch. And you see the Yankee fans coming over the top, trying to grab the ball out of the glove, grab Mookie Betts at the same time, and try to create chaos and all of this stuff. Nino, let me ask you first. What would you do to those fans that were messing with Mookie Betts, trying to grab the home run ball and actually laying hands on Mookie Betts at the same time, like trying to, grab his head, twist his arm and those kinds of things? What would you do to those fans?
Well, that depends. Well, am I the Yankees? Am I on the Yankees organization, or am I on the Dodgers organization, or am I on MLB?
You are MLB. You are the major domo of Major League Baseball. You are the man in charge. What would you do to those yahoos that were messing with Mookie Betts?
Jesus. You're not going to next World Series. That's it. I'm not going to make anything hard on them. Honestly, I won't. I mean, it's just part of the game, man. It's part of the game. Let it be fun.
Laying hands on a dude is part of the game.
Controversial, a little bit. I'm South American, brother. I like that. I like that. I like that. Those condiments, the spicy things. The chili, the habanero. I like that.
All right.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's part of the game, but it's something that could happen, right?
I could
happen.
All right.
So the extra mile. I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't punish him. No, I wouldn't punish him.
Wow.
I wouldn't let it go. And that's how good I am.
Wow. All right, Niko, you are the commissioner of Major League Baseball. What would you do in this case?
Yeah, man, I probably ban him. I probably would not allow him in another ballpark. I understand that there is a passion component to being a fan, and I am pretty sure that alcoholic beverages had a lot to do with these people's actions. But you cannot affect the game in that way. You cannot try to pry a guy's glove open and try to take that ball. That's as if a player, as if a fan ran onto the field in the middle of a penalty kick and stopped it himself, and affected the game. And then the next kick, the re-kick, maybe the player puts it over the top of the crossbar, and you start to think, man, did that action of that fan affect or influence the result of the game, or did he try to do that? And that's where I lay the line. I'm all good and well with you maybe trying to catch that ball and try to hit it, but whenever you're putting your hands on a player and one is holding the arm and the other one is prying that glove open, I mean, that's just straight up wrong. And that is just beyond being a fan, and you're just being a-hole.
Happy breakfast in the West Coast. I don't know if that gets us the explicit rating. I don't care. That was funny.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, look. Jarrett leads the league in giving us the explicit rating every day when he's on the show. He just goes straight to it. He didn't care, and I don't either. Nino, my brother, I'm glad the scarf got to you, and we will style and profile again next week. Thanks again for everything. We'll see you on Gold TV. We'll catch up with you next week.
Have a good one, Nino.
All right.
Thank you, Niko. See you guys.
All right, that's Nino. Nino's wow. And honestly, I thought that was going to be. I thought that I was going to get the diametrically opposed viewpoints. With Nino being in South America, I'm like, I could see.
Yeah.
They're going, yeah, I could dig it. It's like the like ball boys kind of sitting there and kind of taking their time with something and kind of hiding the ball away from the late throw, that kind of a thing. I kind of saw where that was going.
And baseball's very particular, right? Because you can do what they did without leaving your seats. I mean, you're not even entering the field. So there is a little bit of an advantageous situation for something like that to happen. Again, that's exactly why we need to eradicate it from the game, because no fans should feel like they have that much power over a game. And they should just let the athletes be athletes, let the teams handle it on the field. And, that's just my take on it.
I love you both. All right. So let's get into the shenanigans that happened with Seattle and Houston. We spent the next day, no lie, we did a half-hour reffing down here segment on what went down with the red card and Carrasquilla and VAR and review and all of that stuff. I literally spent a half hour breaking down the handball from Mikael and the red card from Carrasquilla, where it took a total of 9 minutes to review from the action and the moment that things went down with Ted Uncle and things start getting a little chippy and all that. 9 minutes of review on both of those plays. And I was questioning a couple of different things. First off, I want to get your thoughts on the match itself and those two seminal moments before we go further into the discussion. But when you were looking at Seattle and Houston match day one, what stuck in your head?
I think it went as expected. I don't think it's going to change much in the second game. So sticking to, obviously, the game in Seattle, we had two possession-based teams that kind of cancel each other out. We kind of knew that going in. They mirror each other information and some of their build-outs. And in this one, both were playing under their potential. But it was sloppy. It was imprecise on both ends. Houston clearly with a more cautious tactic going into this one. They outpossessed Seattle, but they outpossessed them in their own half. It was kind of possession without purpose, just trying to defend themselves with the ball, trying to eliminate any dangers for Seattle. And in Seattle's regard, is the same problem that we've had all season. There's just a lack of scoring from this team, of taking opportunities, and in this one it showed. There were times in that first half where Seattle could have gone up ahead. I think Pedro de la Vega had a very underwhelming performance, and the fans came out and criticized, of course. And deservingly so. I mean, in this one, there were transition moments. There were opportunities where Seattle could have had chances in front of goal that did not happen because of that imprecise play from Pedro. He was too rushed. There's an opportunity that he has on top of the 18 where he could just drive the ball into it, and once again he rushes the shot, puts it on top of the Hawks nest, and it's just a bad look. So I think Seattle's attacking movements and their overall final execution just wasn't there. Jordan Morris, even before the injury, did not seem to get a lot of services and wasn't very involved in the game. And when he did, he wasn't sharp either. I even thought that there were moments that even Paul Rothrock could have been a little more patient, could have turned around, taken a couple of seconds, made a better decision, and created a more dangerous play. So credit to Seattle for sticking it out. I mean, we'll talk about the red card, but, credit to them to finish from the penalty marker, because Seattle has not won a shootout at home ever. And this is a stat from Jeremiah Shen from Sound Our Heart. He's the one who kind of laid it out. And it's interesting because I couldn't think of a moment where Seattle has been able to win in a shootout at home, and they did it this time. Great executed penalties. I thought that every single player that jumped on that ball was important. Raul Ruiz with the Panenka, I think, set the tone for that shootout. So credit to them. But is it perfect? Is it ideal? No. Should have they finished off Houston with the men advantage? Absolutely. But again, in this 3-game series, at the end of the day, as Brian said, what matters is the win.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to the red card. And it was this was a 5-minute process. You saw the initial moment involving João Paulo and the knockdown. This is what you're looking at on the television monitor. So your perspective is going to be different from what those of us that were watching it on television saw. In the monitor, as we're watching, you end up with João Paulo in the initial moment of the knockdown. Then people start to get together. Halfway, literally, you see like below the waist, you see probably a good half a dozen folks come together. And it was chaotic, to say the very least. It goes from yellow cards to a VAR review, video assistant referee review. Okay, so VAR review. I was making sure I wasn't redundant. To a VAR review, Karaskia's yellow gets upgraded to a red. And Ben Olsen, we ran his post game after the match the next day, and he said that there could have been, 5 cards, 5 people throwing haymakers, all this kind of stuff. What was that scrum from your perspective looking like, considering that we only got really the one angle that was shown to us on television of waist down, and then they jerk up, and then you see all this coming together?
Look, I'm going to be honest. Even at the stadium and having a shot from the press box, I did not see the initial contact and altercation that happened that resulted in that half-frame shot of Jackson Reagan on the ground. Right. But later, rewatching the game, and I put this on my Twitter, of course, as part of Apple TV and all that, because it's their feed. But there was one angle, one open wide angle at the end of the game where, they're kind of reviewing the game. They're going over what happened. And you see Coco Carrasquilla kind of lose his head a little bit. JP commits a tactical foul, quite honestly. He knew he was going to get yellow carded. And Jackson Reagan, he picks up the ball to prevent the quick restart. And in that moment, that's when Coco tries to get the ball from Jackson, kind of swings or try to fumble the ball type of, Tillman situation there. And then Jackson, in a very savvy way, falls to the ground, and then Coco gets on top of Jackson Reagan, and that's when Albert Rusnak pushes them from the back, and it creates the entire situation where I don't know what Ben Olsen was looking at.
Yeah.
And I understand he has to protect his guys, but the only guy that was really violent was Coco.
Okay.
And it wasn't just hands to the face, but it was that attempted kick to the groin area or to the inside thigh that they kept reviewing over and over on the VAR monitor, because we could see what they were trying to establish happened. And I think that's what gets him red carded. I know that Gamer was involved, and a lot of people were, I think, trying to separate players. And anytime you have a scuffle like this one, you're going to get hands to the chest, hands to the neck area. And I think that's the misconception by Greg at the time of the press conference, post-game press conference, is that he thinks it's just the hands to the neck, but it's an attempt of a kick to the groin to Albert Rusnak that I think was considered violent conduct, and therefore he gets the red card.
Yeah, I'm looking at your video now at El Rolo NW on the Twitters, and I see as Artur is pulling Carrasquilla back. So he takes that big, so it's that left foot that swings at Rusnak. That that angle. All right, so you had the big angle. Carrasquilla goes in, tries to grab the ball from Jackson Reagan, does a bit of a hip toss, goes down, Reagan turtled. Carrasquilla trying to take and push and shove and do whatever, but it was before everybody got together in the scrum where you tilt up and it's early, where Carrasquilla takes that left foot and takes a swing at Rusnak. He kind of just lashes out with the foot. So that angle I did not see, and I'm glad that you posted it. So at El Rolo NW, go back to October 29. You can hit the media function. You can see what Niko recorded off the television. So with all of that, then you end up with, there was the Paul Rothrock challenge late that I thought was really rough when he went studs up as well. And I think Ted Uncle was managing the game well. And then after that red card, I don't know if you overmanage or whatever, or undermanage at this point. You just kind of let things go, I think, in the hopes that nothing else was going to happen. But a 5-minute review, that to me took entirely too long, because if you're looking for violent conduct, which was what they were chasing after, either it's there or it's not.
Yep. And
with Carrasquilla kicking out, as you know, and it took me 45 seconds and maybe 2 scrolls from what you had pulled to sit there and see Carrasquilla kick out with the left trying to hit Rusnak. I get that. Okay, cool. It shouldn't take 5 minutes to go from initial foul by JP to the scrum, Carrasquilla and Jackson Reagan, everybody coming together, and then Ted goes, goes blackjack dealer, bang, 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 and then switches from yellow to red. It shouldn't take 5 minutes, especially if it's violent conduct.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's part of VAR, and I'm sure that he's hearing all kinds of things on his headset, and he's got to explain his situation. Was it clear and obvious? Is there anybody else involved? So I'm guessing he's looking at different cameras to see if anyone else deserves to be cautioned, and I'm guessing that's what happened. But throughout the game, it was just, I think he got a little out of control. I think Ted Uncle, like you said, maybe tried to undercorrect after that and kind of let things be. He got to the, 110th minute or something ridiculous like that afterwards.
113, baby.
113. So it really got up there. We kept looking at each other on the press box, and I was like, is he going to keep that in time? Because people kept falling to the ground. Obviously, Houston wanted to go to PKs, and they were slowing things down. Anytime that there was a foul, they were staying on the ground. They gave themselves the best chance. With one less guy, you also got to understand their point of view. And to play devil's advocate here, anytime that you got a team that goes down a man and they decide to bunker, really hard to put any balls through when there's 9 guys in the 18 in the box just fighting, blocking, pushing, and trying to kill the clock. So I think that's part of the reason why Seattle wasn't able to score. Raul Diaz, I thought, was positive. I thought that he obviously is shaking some rust off. There was a couple of moments where, I don't know, maybe at the beginning of the year, or when he was a regular starter at the start of the season, he probably finds a better pass. There's a chance that I think he rushes. If he kind of pulls that ball back and hits it with his left, creates a better opportunity. But I thought Raul and Georgie were positive. Those are the two substitutions that came in the 54th minute, I think. One for Jordan Morris, who came off with tightness in his hamstring, and then the other one was Pedro de la Vega, which Brian explained that he wanted a true winger to play with Raul Ruiz, but I think we all saw that Pedro wasn't having his best game, and I think that's why he ends up pulling him off. I did want to see Pedro and Raul play together. I asked Brian again, and he was very comfortable with the substitution pattern when he did it. But when you haven't had Pedro de la Vega most of the season, and he's finally healthy, and you pull him off in the 52nd, you saw his frustration. He wanted nothing to do with Brian as he's walking off, which is normal. It just every player, nobody wants to come off the field, but his situation is very particular because he hasn't been healthy. I did think that maybe Brian pulled the trigger a little too quickly for a player that you want to see a little more. Even when they're having a bad game, maybe he shakes it off. Maybe he redeems himself. Maybe him and Raul have a really good chemistry within the game, and we didn't get to see that.
The handball on Mikael. To me, it was a slam dunk. I don't know why it took 2 minutes and 50 seconds to get to a handball no call, which is what it should have been, because the way that Mikael was turned, yes, he was perpendicular to goal, but you see it go off the inside of the shoulder and then drift over. And Ted Unkel seemed incredibly confident in his call, where Mikael's back is to Ted, and Ted goes bang, and he calls penalty. And it took almost 3 minutes this time to show that it was an easy no call, where it's once again clear and obvious. Clear and obvious is what we're checking here with VAR last time I checked. And so inside of the shoulder, drifts down, first contact is here, then it works its way down. I still don't know why it took 3 minutes to close to 3 minutes to come up with this decision before the eventual result. But like I said, this was part of that longer discussion that we had on Reffing Down Here the day after. Why are two calls taking 9 total minutes when it should be something that's either there or not and clear and obvious? It was just another confusing moment for me.
Yeah, and it kills the flow of the game. And then, when it happened, it just kills the flow. It kills the flow. It kills the momentum. I think you're right. I mean, there is one angle where you could clearly see the ball hit the chest and then off the arm. It should have been a quicker call. But I had more questions about the violent conduct and how long it took, to be quite frank.
All right. When it comes to all of the other games, it looks like all the goals got scored in match day 1 out in the Western Conference. It was 5 by LAG against the dinged up Colorado side. LAFC gets just enough to beat Vancouver. What else happened in your mind out west?
Minnesota. That was my upset of the Western Conference. I picked Minnesota to go through for 2 reasons. RSL's decline and issues that they have not been able to fully solve. I think Chicho hasn't scored since June. And, you see how much they need him to be the Chicho of old. And how good defensively Minnesota has been. I mean, if Ramsey has done something, is create a team that's difficult to break down. It's, a 5-4-1, very compact. You're not getting to the midfield. You're going to overpopulate those center zones. They're not going to allow anybody to get through the inside channels. Arango was fighting off Boxall and Jefferson Diaz all game long, and it just seemed like a battle he wasn't going to win. And yes, you had the other center back right next to you just in case. I think that they bracket him very well. I thought that Minnesota had the better chances throughout the game. They're very quick in transition. Jaboa is a handful. I thought that a player that I've never been big on is Trapp, but I thought he had a very good game in this one. Obviously, Lode, Manny's main candidate for Comeback Player of the Year. He was outstanding. But I think that the substitutions, the depth of Minnesota has improved, specifically with Pereira now full in form for this team, a guy that's a creative player that can give you a lot of opportunities, that has very good vision. So Minnesota wins it in PKs, deservingly so, and I think that they're going to close it out in the second game.
Okay. When you look at other second games that are coming up here starting tomorrow, what else in the Eastern Conference sticks in your head?
Oh man, there's a lot about the Eastern Conference that sticks in my head. I'm very curious about Atlanta, Miami, because I had people have the thought process that Inter Miami struggled against Atlanta, but I didn't quite see it that way. I understand that the goals didn't come, but it's hard for me to say that a team struggled when they were in year 18 all game long, and Guzan puts on a cape and writes an S on his chest and becomes Superman and stops, I don't know, I think it was like 6 shots from Messi, 9 overall. I mean, he was outstanding. Even when he has to, at 40 years old, run off the box and try to prevent Messi to get you one-on-one. So I thought he was great, but can Atlanta do more? Can they force the subject? Can they prevent with that defensive midfield a team from transition as quickly and as easy as they did? They were cutting to them like butter with a knife. I mean, it was very easy for Miami to get the ball to high assist positions or scoring positions, and that's not something that you want for Atlanta. So I'm curious on how Rob Valentino is going to adjust and try to bring it to Miami a little bit more.
All right. So what is going on at Soccer Bar and Pulso Sports? I know you're kind of busy with it. What's up?
Well, yes, sir. We're going to be here in about an hour. We're going to get into a couple of these games. The Charlotte, Orlando. Can Orlando close it? Charlotte looked okay. They struggled even more than they had offensively. Ajimang was not the Ajimang of old. Clearly, when Wilder Cartagena is in that midfield for Orlando City, they're a much disciplined team. They're harder to break down. I think Martino Head and Facundo Torre are getting hot in the right time. So can they close that down? We're going to talk about that in Soccer Bar. We're going to have protagonists of Houston. We're going to have protagonists in New York City, obviously talking in the show. So it's going to be a good one here today. And at Pulso Sports, you can always find today's training. After Soccer Bar is done and over with, we're going to be at the training grounds. We're going to figure out what's going on with Jordan Morris. Today, the MRI results are supposed to be in. Don't know if we'll get an availability with Brian or we'll get any sense from a spokesperson from Seattle, but we'll be there just in case to see what it is that those results kind of come up with. I know that Brian Smetzer was on KJR last night, our local radio station, and he said that it's good news, that it's nothing that severe, but because it's game 2 away from home, he's going to be precautionary, and he's probably going to start Raul Ruiz. So you'll get to see all that here at Pulso Sports.
As always, my friend, great to see you on Thursdays. Be well, be safe. We will catch up with you again next week.
All righty. We'll see you.
He's got his second cup of coffee. He's got some work to do. So he's going to work that second cup of coffee, and he'll be good to go by the time they get to Soccer Bar and head to Swedish. Providence, Swedish. That's the thing. It's like we always try to figure out, we can never remember the name of the complex. So Providence, Swedish, or Swedish Providence, or whatever. If the Swedes have Providence, they believe in higher powers. Maybe that's where it is. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We got some stuff that we got to get off on the board and lay it all out. Couple of games in La Liga, and you notice that there are times where you get to see what's going on in other leagues in and around the world over my left shoulder. That's from our friends at Glance LED. And Glance LED has the opportunity to make sure that everything is the way that it is supposed to be when it comes to all the activity going on around the planet. You can see what's going on with weather. You can see what's going on with news. You can pick your leagues. You can see what's going on there, and it's always fun. I stumbled on Glance LED, and like I said, there are a couple different sizes of boards, and I got the small one for now because if I get anything larger, then what that means is you end up with probably some hats being taken down from the stuff over my shoulder, and maybe the piano has to go. I don't know, but it's from our friends at Glance LED, and they are, they're really cool with what they're doing and what they're accomplishing there at Glance LED. So very, very cool stuff from our friends at Glance LED. But one of the leagues that I do have over my shoulder is La Liga, and with what's going on in La Liga as of right now, two of the matches because of the flooding have been postponed in the interim. So obviously keep your thoughts and love for everybody there in Spain because of the horrendous downpours and flooding that's been going on there in Spain. So just keep an eye out for them and send them all your love and all of that stuff. So all of that. So I'm trying to see if there is anything else on the board. Okay, so according to our friends at TalkSport, this is the official word on all of that. Valencia's match against Real Madrid has been postponed after the deadly flash floods. Right now, it's 104 people who've died after torrential rain hit the southeast region of Spain. In the town of Chiva near Valencia, saw a year's worth of rainfall in just an 8-hour period. More than 1,000 troops have been deployed, as footage on social media showed the impact in the region. And officials say it's currently impossible to put a final figure on the number of people who have passed. The club's Copa del Rey tie with Parla Escuela on Wednesday night was also called off. Valencia put out a message on social media expressing their condolences to families and friends of those who died as a result of the flooding. Much strength to all the neighbors and affected populations. The club is at the disposal of the authorities and the affected municipalities to help in any way possible. Real Madrid also sent a message out that was 2 paragraphs. On Thursday, the Spanish Football Federation confirmed that all games this weekend in the Valencian region postponed after a request from La Liga. So that's Villarreal, Rayo Vallecano, Levante, and Malaga also set to be rescheduled. Minute silence at all La Liga games. And this weekend, the Spanish government has declared 3 days of mourning. Players have been also sending messages of support. Valencia currently bottom of La Liga, having just won 1 of 11 matches this season. And there's the ongoing story with Valencia and their fan base about everything that the fans don't like the owner. And right now they're in they're at the bottom of the table. They don't like their owner. And, it's just been a difficult situation all around when it comes to Valencia. So let's take the tour and see what else is going on here before we get out of here. Oh, I have to say hi to everybody. That's what I also have to do. Wiley, I turned it off real quick. I had to I wanted to attend to something on camera because, sometimes when I'll, grab a soda and, it's like, and I had to do that quickly since they're not a sponsor. So, if I go completely out of camera range, I would rather, there's supposed to be an avatar, but the avatar didn't pop up. But traditionally, if I duck completely out of camera range, then, I'll put up the screen really quickly, but there should have been an avatar. That's not good. I have to check that out now. So morning to Kaylor and everybody at the USL show for dropping by. Morning, Harry. Morning, David. Morning, Alex. Morning, Wiley. So, but Wiley has given me the thought that I have to keep an eye out for my my avatar now. I would have thought that would have carried over, but I guess I was wrong. Okay, so yesterday we mentioned what happened in the U17s. You had the USA-Argentina women's friendly last night. North Korea beat the U17s in the semifinals, beat them 1-0, so they get to play for bronze or play for third in the match upcoming next for them. Argentina and the U.S. women played last night at Lynn Family in front of a crowd of 13,543. Naomi Girma had a decent night. 2 goals, 8 minutes apart, and then you had an own goal by Comedy that almost gave her a hat trick. So sellout crowd of 13,000 plus. 10 changes to the starting 11, beating Iceland 3-1 3 days ago. 3 more debutantes, Amanda Hott, Ava Gaetino, and Alyssa Melanson. Melanson got an assist in her debut. So that was a very cool moment. Once again, possession, not really a surprise, 2-1. 18 shots on goal to Argentina's 4. Rose Lavelle also honored for surpassing 100 caps this summer, and she brought her I think it was a pet French bulldog, and her French bulldog was wearing a headset, I believe, just because of all the noise. So we'll go over this again with Bart tomorrow, and we'll discuss subs and getting reps and things like that. Thanksgiving weekend, women's national team goes to Europe for a pair of friendlies against England on November 30th and the Netherlands on December 3rd. 29 wins now over South American opposition without a defeat for the women's national team. Became the first player to score her first and second goals for the women's national team in the same game since Carla Overbeck 30 years ago. So very, very cool last night for the U.S. women. And it was a point that Bart made on his social media at Bartimus Prime 19. You know, it's amazing what happens when you, I don't know, widen out your thought base about where you want to host matches. You got to sell out at Lynn Family at 13.5. Today on the telly, it is Copa Sudamericana, Racing Club Corinthians. We got to catch up with our buddy Nino about all that stuff. That's on BN. And BN and Espanol at 8:30. U17 Women's World Cup semi, Spain and England. That's at 7 o'clock on FS2. Once again, winner of that one advances to play North Korea. Loser of that one plays the U.S. for third. I think they got a third-place game. Fox Deportes Serie A, Roma Torino at 3:45. Universo simulcasting the World Cup semi at 7 o'clock. Copa del Rey, you have Meneses and Getafe, Vic and Atletico Madrid, San Tirso Espanyol at 2 o'clock on the plus. Jove Espanyol against Real Sociedad, Ontinyena, because the tilde is on the first N. Oh, it's the middle N. Ontinyena. But no, Ontinyena. Here we go. Ontinyena, because the N is not on the last N, it's on the middle N. Ontinyena. And Las Palmas at 4, and Javora and Real Betis at 4 o'clock. The league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote has a match at 2 o'clock. Central American Cup on Fox Soccer Plus, Herediano, Real Esteli. Paramount Plus, Argentina Primera, Godoy Cruz and Atletico Tucumán at 8:15. Como and Lazio at 2:45 on Serie A. And then the Super League tonight on Peacock, Brooklyn and Spokane. They are on at 7:30. If I'd had less guests, I probably would have asked about Halloween. We'll ask about Halloween tomorrow. On men's side for college soccer, a lot of action on the plus. It looks like it is UAC. It is Missouri Valley. It is Atlantic 10-ish. It's Sunbelt technically. So it's Sunbelt Division II and activity out west in the UAC and a little Mountain West for you. 4, 5, 7, and 10. Women's action is all day. You've got the Ohio Valley Tournament actually kicking off at 2 o'clock on ESPN+. The Missouri Valley Tournament kicks off at 3 o'clock on ESPN+. You've got Maction. You've got Big East. You've got SoCon. You've got B1G going on. The Big Ten Tournament starts at 4:30 this afternoon on B1G+. You've got Big East again. You've got West Coast Conference. It's starting at 6 o'clock. ACC has Florida State and Miami. That's at 6 o'clock. Missouri Valley Tournament nightcaps happen as well. ACC Extras got some. You've got Conference USA. You have Sun Belt. Georgia State and Coastal Carolina is at 7 o'clock on ESPN+. Keep an eye out for that one. You've also got activity in the Northeast with the Northeast Conference. Once again, more Sun Belt. Once again, you've got more Missouri Valley. You've got more ACC, Big Ten Tournament. Penn State and Minnesota's on the B1G, but plus at 7:30. You've got a lot of action at 8 in the Fun Belt. Georgia Southern and Texas State. That's at 8. You've also got Virginia Tech, 8 o'clock on the ACC network. Ohio Valley nightcaps at 8. 10 o'clock, you have activity out west in the Big West and in the West Coast Conference. Cal and Stanford, by the way, on ACC Extra. That's at 10 o'clock on the network. So there's a lot of women's soccer today, and we've got all of that as well going forward. I'm trying to think of see if there's anything else that has happened while we were gone, while we were talking to guests and things. I think we got it covered. So tomorrow, once again, Bart's going to hop on at 9:05. He's going to bat leadoff to talk about the 3-match window involving involving U.S. soccer and what happened last night in Louisville in front of 13,000 plus. Maybe, hopefully, our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring can join us. It would be Greg Garza's turn to talk about what's going on in the world of mentoring and getting you ready for playoffs and talking about playoff mentality and not being intimidated by your surroundings. Then the weekend whip around starts at 10 o'clock for patent pending trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. We'll get you ready for the weekend when it comes to soccer, plus Atlanta United. 9 and 11 on Saturday morning, ATOUTD.com/live. It's Academy Soccer with Atlanta United. It is Jason, Maddie, and me. Jason and Maddie have the 9. Maddie and I have the 11. Jason's going to go and do the Oglethorpe match at 1 o'clock. And then once again, remember, a Five Stripes Countdown starts at 6 o'clock. And it is the 92.9 family in the Odyssey app. And then it's the match a little after 7. And we'll see what happens on Saturday in match day number 2 when it comes to Atlanta United and Messi and friends. We're going to talk about it all tomorrow, and I'm going to fix an avatar. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. Thanks to Doug Irwin from Greenville Triumph for letting everybody know about the update with everything going on there with the Triumph. And also, thanks to, as always, the Power Hour, Nino and Niko. Love them both very much and glad that they get to come and hang out and talk about everything and everything going on the planet, from South America to Europe to MLS to Seattle and all points in between. And thanks to all of y'all for dropping by, as you always do, because we couldn't do it without you. Thanks for dropping by. We'll do this again, once again, a little less than 22 hours. And so what that means is it's time to put a bow on the show. So that means I'm going to hit a button and it's going to play an outro, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow. Thanks again. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk about it and get ready for the weekend here on the Morning Show on ST.